Hello and welcome back to the Pointy Ears podcast. Again, I don't have James with me here, but I'm going to trudge on by myself. So today I want to be answering the question of, is a squig herd a Gorgrunta? Can squig herd alpha strike? This is sort of like the new thing which people are asking about, and I want to answer that question here today. So, alpha strike. What's an alpha strike? An alpha strike is when you try and basically kill your opponent's army or the majority of their army on turn one. It's something which, well, if you ask who can alpha strike, it's something that Ironjaws are famous for. Now, why is it that Ironjaws can do this, where they try to wipe you out turn one? Why does it work? They have speed, particularly they have hero phase moves. They have the option of getting 3d6 charge. They have decent speed on their Gorgruntas and on the Wyvern. And they also have high damage. They have crazy high damage. That's why Ironjaws have access to this. But we're greenskins too. Is there a way that we can do this? So the first thing we'll need is speed, right? Speed and damage. So how do we get speed in our army? Well, there's a brand new war scroll for a brand new model. The Squig boss with Nash's Squig. So this is a very cheap hero, costing only 80 points, and he's a great big buff piece specifically for Squigs. Now, if you read the the ability, release the Squigs, which I'll try and point at here, this one, it says once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, just say you're going to release the Squigs, and each friendly Squig herd within 12, wholly within 12, can make a normal move. Oh my god, we've got a hero phase move. Isn't that beautiful? Now, this can only go in Squig herd, which historically has been a unit with only a 5-inch move. But now it's been buffed. It's now D6 plus 5. So on average, that's 8.5. But for all of our calculations today, I'm going to assume that we're rolling nothing but ones for all of our movement. So let's assume we're only rolling ones. We could be rolling sixes, which would be a lot of movement. Let's assume we're rolling ones. But we've got speed. We've got a hero phase move. Let's move on. Do we have damage? Yes, we can get our Squig herds moving in the hero phase and the movement phase and the charging phase. But do we have enough damage once we get there? These are only some of the buffs that Squig herd can receive. Now, some of them are harder than others. Up the top right, you'll see Sneaky Snufflers. This buff is really hard to get because you have to roll, basically have to roll a 5 on 1d6. It's not guaranteed. But I've just got it there. We're going to run our calculations without this. So let's start with Squig Boss. So the Squig Boss we just mentioned can also give buffs. He gives buffs with his Mycophile's Pouch ability. Now there's two that we're interested in. One of them adds 3 to movement. We might use that if we're not desperate for damage. But there's also Yellow Lurker and Sprouting Moon. I'll read Sprouting Moon first. Sprouting Moon adds 1 to attacks, specifically from Fang-filled Gobs. That's great. Plus 1 attack. Okay, awesome. But Yellow Lurker is the one that we're going to see is much better. Yellow Lurker says when you make a hit roll with your Fang-filled Gobs, if you get a 6, deal 1 mortal wound in addition. This is insanely powerful because you'll see we'll get up to a lot of attacks. Let's move on to another buff piece, the Gobbapalooza. So the Gobbapalooza is a really strange unit. It's not a hero, but it's a unit of wizards and support heroes, which aren't heroes. And not only are they able to cast stuff like your Mystic Shield and other things, which are very useful, but they also, for free, can pick one of these 3 effects. And the one that we're going to want will be nasty poisons. Glareface Dance would be okay if, again, we're needing even more speed. It lets us reroll runs and charges, and there's a way for us to get run and charge for the Squig herd. But I don't think we need it. we're going to go for Nasty Poisons, which will give us +1 rend. Now, Squig Herd already has 1 rend, so that'll get us to rend 2. Beautiful. Subfaction. Now, this is the easiest one in order to complete. All we have to do is complete a charge with a Squig unit, or not even with a Squig unit, just any unit that has one of these weapons, which is only Squigs, so whatever. They'll get +1 attacks to those weapons. Sweet. +1 attack. Love it. All we have to do is be on the charge. Great. That's from the subfaction Jaws of Mork. So that's the subfaction we're taking. Sneaky Snufflers could give us another extra attack, but we're not going to assume we're getting it. Next, Sloggoth. Now, why would you want a Sloggoth? We could just use all-out attack, couldn't we, to get +1 to hit? What the Sloggoth does is it has a great big aura. Every friendly unit wholly within 18 gets +1 to hit. So why don't we just use all-out attack? We can't. One of the issues with Squig Herd is they actually are not allowed to receive any commands, which is one of their downsides, but I think they more than make up for it. So in order for us to get our a +1 to hit, we'll have to use a Sloggoth, and this makes a big difference to the calculations. And then finally, one last buff that we can get is a Loon Boss and Mangler Squigs. Once per battle can use Bite the Moon, which is not a command anymore, and that means that all friendly Squig units wholly within 18 of them, huge range, they're going to get +1 to wound. So we're getting a +1 to hit and a +1 to wound to our guys. And these are huge auras, very easy to complete. Alright, so let's move on. These are the damage charts for a single Squig. So if you look at the purple one, that's for when there's no buff. So we're looking at 4 attacks. I'm still assuming Jaws of Mork, because that's going to be free. We're only going to get like 0.4, 0.45 damage per model. How much is a model? Well, you're going to get 12 models. Well, 10 of them are Squigs, 2 of them are Herders. But you're going to get 12 models for 120 points. That means that a Squig is worth 10 points. So per model, we're going to get almost half a wound per when there's no buffs. If we have Yellow Lurka, which is the green one here, I know it's yellow, but it's green, we're going to see that's by far against every armor save, that is the best buff. We're getting way over 1 wound per model once we add Yellow Lurka. With Nasty Poisons, Yellow Lurka, by the way, is the Mortal Wounds. It's from the Squig boss. Nasty Poisons is the +1 rend from Gobapalooza, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good at all levels, except for 5 up, 6 up. But really useful against 2 ups and 3 ups. Very cool. Crew Drummer, which is the Sloggoth ability, you're going to see is very important at these stages versus purple. Very important. It doesn't make a huge difference here compared to the other buffs. Alright, so that's Crew Drummer. And then there's Bite the Moon, which is the Mangler ability. And you'll see it's not quite as important as Crew Drummer, but it does make a large effect, especially against 6-up saves. Okay, so that's what one buff does. But we're not limited to one buff. We can get all the buffs. When you get all the buffs, which is going to be the green slide. So Bite the Moon is once per battle, so I've calculated without Bite the Moon, which is the +1 to wound one. Without Bite the Moon, we're going to be doing about 1.5 wounds per Squig. With Bite the Moon, we're getting almost 1.8 wounds per Squig. And then this is against a 2-up save, by the way. This is against Kragnos. So, yeah. Against, Then if we've got Sneaky Snufflers getting +1 attack for us, we're going to get even more. We're going to get so many attacks. We're going to get so much damage in. So the one that's really consistent that we want to do turn 1 is this light green, the sort of mint color. That's 1.8 wounds dealt per Squig. We're easily going to get 20 Squigs in. Easily. Even if you only got 10 in. If you got really unlucky, you can only get, charge 10 into some really weirdly shaped screen. Then they're still doing 18 wounds versus a 2-up save. It's ridiculous. You're going to melt whatever you charge into. Now, here's what we're going to start with. We're going to be recruiting 36-man units of Squig Herds. We're going to want 2 of them. All right, that's where we're going to start. And here's our starting spot. And we're going to have a squig boss of Nash's Squig. And his job, of course, is to give them a hero phase move. But wait, there's more. It stacks. What we're going to be able to do is bring in a second squig boss of Nash's Squig and move them twice in the hero phase. That's d6 plus 5, or we're going to consider it 1 plus 5, just because, we always roll ones. 6 plus 6 in the movement phase. In the hero phase. That's crazy. That's more than Gorgrunta's move in the hero phase. We're always so scared against Ironjaws because Gorgrunta's move 8 in the hero phase. We're moving 12. It's incredible. We're faster than Gorgrunta's. We're not faster than the wyverns. I can't remember their names. Maw-Crusher, that's the one. We're not faster than that, but we're pretty damn fast. We're faster than Gorgrunta's. We're crazy fast. Okay, so that's what we're doing. This is what we're starting with. So here's going to be our sort of starting setup. You see, you've got our 36-man squig herd over here, and we're going to start it really close to 2 squig bosses. Our squig bosses are going to be right up against the line here, as far up as they can go. We've got a Gobbapalooza here, and they're going to be far up as well, but they don't have to be. We want our Dobby over here to be quite close up. He's going to be doing some running, and our Manglers are going to fly over the top because we want them to make a charge as well. Manglers are amazing because they have a new Monstrous Rampage where they're able to make a 3d6 move at the end of a charge phase. Incredible. So you charge them in, they do some impact hits, and then they 3d6 move away into whatever squishy thing you want them to hit. They have to finish the move next to an enemy unit or within combat with an enemy unit, but that could be anything. You can use this to get into, into a Warsong Revenant. Use it to get into Croak or something like that. Anything that you want to kill. Mangler's awesome. Great inclusion. All right, so what we're going to do. Start of the hero phase. We're going to move our squig herd. Whoop. There they go. They just moved their 6 inches because we rolled a 1. But there's a problem. The buff that we wanted to give them, especially the really important one, Yellow Lurker, which comes from the squig boss, it can only be given if the unit is within 3. Not wholly within 3, but within 3. But we've just moved 6 inches away. We're not within 3 anymore. What do we do? You conga way back here so that your front line moves up and you have a conga line to here. And this way you're still within 3, but your front line, which is all you need, remember they've got crazy damage, your front line is still moving forwards. Now, you'd be able to do a second hero phase move from here. If you do that, then you can continue the conga going and have the squigs way up in your opponent's face. But you definitely want to keep them within 3. Yellow Lurker is crazy important. It's the most important buff. Okay. So that's what we can do. Now, what do we do with our Dobby? He's just going to roll a run. You might have to auto-run, depending on how far away your opponent's front line is. So away he goes. He's running up. What about Gobbapalooza? Gobbapalooza also can only give their buff to a unit wholly within 12 during the middle of the hero phase. Well, our units run away. How do we give our bonus rend? Hand of Gork. What we do is we're going to use a different wizard, or maybe even themselves, to cast Hand of Gork. What that does is it teleports them. And you just go, see ya, I'm over here now. And you put you guys way over there. And then they're able to give their buff in the middle of the hero phase, because you cast Hand of Gork also in the middle of the hero phase. It's perfect. Now, another way that you could play this, if you weren't necessarily going for the alpha that turn, is you could do your hero phase, start of hero phase move of the Squig Herd, but keep them wholly within 12 of the Gobbapalooza. That way you can cast Mystic Shield, and you'd also be, if you're running Sneaky Snufflers, you'd also still be close enough to give them a 5-up ward. Now, for the 36 Squig Herd, 36 Squig Herd have 72 wounds. So giving them a 5-up ward, that's making them 36 wounds stronger in that turn. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. It's 36 wounds stronger because in order to deal 72 wounds to something with a 5-up ward, you have to deal effectively 108, which is 36 more. Alright, so that's one way. You can play defensive, Mystic Shield and 5-up ward, or play aggressive with Hand of Gork. Now, Hand of Gork has a huge range, so you might be thinking, well, what if I get unbound? Well, you keep your wizard that's casting it way at the back. It has like a range of, I believe it's wholly within 24. So your casting wizard could be way at the back, and it can teleport them way in. And then the 2 wizards that are in there can give Mystic Shield from the teleported position, because the timing works out, and give the +1 rend. And then Manglers are going to run up, and then they're going to make a killer charge as well. Now, one way to make yourself faster is with run and charge. So in the start of the game, you can choose to have the Bad Moon start in one of the quadrants. So if your opponent's front line is really close to the edge of a quadrant, you might be able to end all your movements wholly within one. But I think it's a bit of a risk. We're not going to rely on run and charge. But there is a way to do it, and there's another thing we could do to get run and charge should we need it. But let's look at our calculations on how far we're moving. Now, so we're not going to worry about these guys conga lining to the back. They're staying there in the hero phase, so we can still give Yellow Lurker. We can't give Yellow Lurker and the other buff because a unit can only max gain for 1 buff in a turn. Now, they're going to move their 6 inches up because we rolled a 1. They're going to move 6 inches up again because we rolled another 1. And then in the movement phase, the front line's going to move another 6 inches up. We've moved a total of 18 inches because we've rolled triple 1s. 18 inches is a lot. That is way easy enough to be getting into anybody's face. Way easy. And you're probably not rolling triple 1s, let's be honest. Alright, so we're definitely in the face. We're definitely getting a great charge in. Manglers hopefully are getting a huge charge as well. They have movement D6 plus 10, and the reason that they're sitting next to the Nasha, the Squig boss of Nasha Squig, is the one that can't buff the Squig herd can buff the Manglers. So he's going to run up and also do loads of damage. Now I said that we're not guaranteed to get Gobapalooza off. We might fail the teleport roll. This is what happens if we don't have nasty poisons. So we've got 4 attacks versus 5 attacks. We'll just look at 4 attacks. We've got all the other buffs. We're still looking at 1.5 wounds per Squig. So, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We don't necessarily need them. We don't need nasty poisons. 1.5 per Squig is plenty versus a 2-up save. It's nuts. Alright, so what's next? Let's actually make our list. So let's go over the obvious things. We know we've got a Loon boss on Mangler Squigs. We need that to get the +1 to wound, and to be the missile to take out squishy things, take out their linchpin pieces. We've got 2 Squig bosses. They're only 80 each, and they're Galician champions. Bargains. Battle line. We're going to take 36 Squig herd, 36 Squig herd again, because what's better than alphaing someone in turn 1? Alphaing, well, betaing them in turn 2 as well. You know, have 2 missiles. Now, in other, we're going to have a Sluggoth, and that's where Gobapalooza goes. They're in other. They don't take up a hero slot. Makes them really good for fitting into battalions. We might, in fact, we almost certainly want to fit into a battle regiment if we can with this list. Alright, that's where we're going. Now that comes to 1,545 points. We are still short 1 battle line in order to complete our list. But let's think, what do we actually want to add to this list to complete it? Well, there's some auto-includes nowadays in Gitz. One of them is Scragrot. We definitely want Scragrot. Scragrot is probably one of the best casters in game right now. That being, well, maybe not the best caster, but he has one of the best spells. So his spell lets you target something within 24 inches, and whatever the casting roll was, which he gets +1 to, you're going to roll that many dice every 3 ups of mortal wound. Which means, because his average casting roll is an 8, then you're getting on average, it's about 4 mortal wounds. 4 mortal wounds on average. versus something, and you could spike that into turns. You could just take out their Galician champion turn 1 with Scragrod. He's great. He's got +1 to cast, and he's going to also cast our endless spells. He can cast Scuttletide. Scuttletide is the best endless spell in game. Yes, pretty sure it's the strongest endless spell in the entire game. It does an insane number of mortal wounds. What you're going to do with Scuttletide is you're going to summon it. It has infinite range. Infinite, as long as you can see where it's coming out, it is infinite range, as long as it comes out within 8 of a terrain piece. Not wholly within 8, within 8, and it's long. So it's basically coming out within something like 13 inches, wholly within 13 of a terrain piece. Basically, actually it's just within 8. Just got to touch the 8-inch bubble. So it comes out, you're going to put it right in the middle of their lines. You're going to make it so it's not within 8 inches of where the squig hurt's going to charge, otherwise you'll take damage. Which actually you might want, but we'll talk about that later. And then what you're going to do is when it becomes their turn, you're going to move Scuttletide so that when they charge the squig herd, they take mortal wounds AoE. Not only on when they move close enough, but when they charge. They're going to be taking, on average, 5 mortal wounds per unit. Slightly higher than 5 mortal wounds per unit if they move and charge within the range of Scuttletide. It's insane. It's actually insane. Now, the second endless spell I put there is Malevolent Moon. Why would we want that? It gives run and charge. Malevolent Moon now carries the light of the bad moon. So all you have to do is summon it, have it close enough to your squig herd, and it will give them run and charge should you need it. But the thing to keep in mind is that the time that they have to be wholly within 12 of the moon is after they've done their movement. It's after it. Alright? So that when they start their charge, they're wholly within. That's how that works. And then they'll be able to run and charge. That's if you need the extra d6 to 6 inches, 6 if you auto run, from run and charge. I don't think it's necessary, but that's another option you can have in the list. Sneaky Snufflers are another really strong option. They can give the 5-up ward. You probably really want that. You probably, almost definitely want that. But I think we're actually short of a battle line on this list. So what we'll do for this list for today is I'm just going to remove Sneaky Snufflers. We're going to swap it with Shooters. Shooters are our cheapest option for a battle line. We could also do Squig Herd, but I want something a bit more defensive, something that can benefit from rally and other things. So we'll take Shooters, and that will finish our list. We'll finish our list at 1,995 points. Ta-da! That's how to do a Alpha Strike list using Squig Herd. Hope you enjoyed the video today, and I hope you'll watch again next time. Like and subscribe. Woohoo! Goodbye.